Shalom, brothers and sisters. Shalom, brothers and sisters. Giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator and the Maker of heaven and earth. This particular presentation, brothers and sisters, it is not going to be long. It's like one or two slides itself. The point, brothers and sisters, in this is, as the title states, the games men play, parentheses, on women. Now, when I speak in regards to games, I'm not talking, brothers and sisters, about good things. I'm not talking about Monopoly. I'm not talking even about chess or checkers. I'm not talking about life, that game. I'm not talking about tic-tac-toe. I'm not talking, brothers and sisters, about Connect Four. I am talking, brothers and sisters, about a game called manipulation, a game about conning somebody, C-O-N. I'm talking about a game about getting over negatively on a sister. And brothers and sisters, how this particular thing is done strategically by males. Now, often you usually may hear women got game and women play games and so forth and so on, and they do. But this is not what this particular presentation is about. This is, as stated, the games men play on women. The presentation, one slide, will explain how men play games on women. This will show, examine, and explain the mindset, supposed to be of a man, but okay, but of men who do not want to be the alpha male and expect the woman to do everything for him, not with him. So, what do I mean by that? About the kind of man that doesn't want to be the alpha male. Now, as you may have watched the movie The Lion King, you may have came across the concept or hearing about the alpha lion or the alpha male within the pride and so forth and so on. That is the lion, brothers and sisters, that is the king of the safari, if you will. That is the leader of the camps of lions, if you will. Now, among Israel, you know, there's three tribes that are represented by lions. That's Judah, Gad, and Dan. You understand? Now, in this particular aspect, when the Israelites went into the land of Canaan, they were saying, who shall go up first to fight against the Canaanites? And it said that Judah was chosen to go up. In the Bible, Genesis 49, it says, Judah, ye shall your brethren praise. It said, the scepter should not depart from Judah, nor the Lord give up from between his feet. So, brothers and sisters, that means out of the line, L-I-N-E, of Judah, there will always be one that is to teach the laws of the Creator. And that right there, brothers and sisters, shows the lion spirit. Now, when I say lion, I'm talking about L-I-O-N. Now, in this particular presentation, there will not be any profane words used by myself. However, in the next slide, you will see that profanity has been abbreviated in a particular meme. Brothers and sisters, have I used profanity? Yes, but not in this one. All right. Now, we want to explain the first part of this one more time. That says the alpha male essentially is one that doesn't want a woman to do things for him, but rather with him. You may have seen memes on Facebook or online in which a man is represented as a lion and he has his lioness with him. And the caption may say something like, roll together as a team, or so forth and so on. In the aspect of the canine, pardon me, the feline family, in this case, the lion and the lioness, he protects the female. I was watching, given advice by a friend of mine, about the aspect of the roles of hyenas and how they move, and how lions and how they move. They are not friends, brothers and sisters. You understand? Lions seem to have the spirit to want to be strong with or without their crew around them in most cases. Hyenas don't have that same strength. Hyenas, brothers and sisters, move in packs. And of course, as we know, there is strength in numbers. But when you don't, brothers and sisters, care as a man to be the said, quote, alpha male, you will find that kind of male wanting the female to do everything for him. And that leads you, brothers and sisters, into what we're talking about in this. And that is the aspect of the games that men play. As we stated, for those who joined along later, giving a shout out to those who are in the room, right? We want to emphasize that the games that we're talking about is not Monopoly, chess, checkers, life, Scrabble. We're talking a kind of game that's called mind manipulation and mental control. The Bible, brothers and sisters, the stance that this channel mostly uses as a source. It says when a man and a woman become married, that he, brothers and sisters, is to cheer his wife up in Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 5. He is to cheer, that is to say, make her happy, brothers and sisters. But you will find that the man that's about playing games, he is not about Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 5. He is the type of man that Proverbs 6 talks about when it said the wicked man scrapes with his feet and points with his fingers. That kind of character of man. We're going to point that out as we go along in the next slide. Remember that statement. The kind of man that's described as wicked in Proverbs chapter 6 that scrapes with his feet. He doesn't pick his feet up and make a move as a man. No, he scrapes his feet like a little kid catching a temper tantrum. He points with his fingers, brothers and sisters. That's the person that's not going to try to lift his hand up to help a brother or sister because he's too busy pointing. So these are things, brothers and sisters, that we want to talk about for edification purposes. This presentation, one slide, will explain how men play games on women. This will show, examine, and explain the mindset of a man who does not want to be the alpha male. He doesn't want to be that leader. He doesn't want to sit there. In the Hebrew, the word aleph means clan. It also means thousand. The Hebrew word elef in root means to teach. He doesn't want to be the aleph or a teacher. He doesn't want to be the aluf. That is to say, the chief. Brothers and sisters, all aluf, aleph, all of that is connected to the word aleph, which later on, from the Hebrew to the Phoenician to the Greek, they get the aspect of the alpha. That's to say, the first or the leader. And expect the woman to do everything for him, not with him. He doesn't have the kind of mindset of a team goal orientated mindset. He doesn't have the mindset that says, brothers and sisters, a wise man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. He doesn't have the mindset like Proverbs 31 says. When you get into the aspect of a husband respecting his wife, he is the kind of man that Malachi chapter 2 in the Bible talks about. When they said that they have dealt treacherously with the wife of your youth. This is that kind of character of man. This is not the character of man that Exodus 21 talks about. When the servant says, I love my wife and my children, I will not go free. If my wife and my children are here, I'm going to stay here. That kind of man is not what we're talking about in this. The men that we're talking about in this kind of thing, those who play the games, refer to men such as Exodus 21, such as the portion of Deuteronomy 24, verse 5, as henpecked, as weak, as whooped. Now, there are men who are henpecked. There are men who are whipped, but that's not what we're talking about, brothers and sisters. That is not what we're talking about in this presentation. So, brothers and sisters, without any further ado, let us go into what we're talking about. How is everybody in the room, brothers and sisters? Can I get a one from anyone if I'm able to be heard and heard pretty well? Brothers and sisters, giving honor and praise unto the Most High. Without any further ado, let us go in to the crux of what we're talking about. The games men play on women. Now, this is a meme, and in due respect, I had it the picture and the name crossed out because I'm not trying to bash or disrespect anyone. But let us look at this here. It says, I really hate the myth that black women are hard to deal with. I know 20 black women who will pull up on me right now with a smile if I need it. Feed me, give me a ride, fight for me, pray for me. Half the black men perpetrating the lie have used and abused the dog shit out of our women. So what the F are y'all even talking about? How dare you turn around and forget her patience with your ass antics? She was rooting for you. Now that right there is a meme that I want to talk about. And in this discussion here about the games that men play on women, let's see what this is. It is generally presented from a male, which I'm not going to get into the name of the picture and so forth and so on. But this is something that was going around on Facebook, and I wanted brothers and sisters to sit there and present as Israelite stance concerning this kind of subject. Now, the person speaking of himself or oneself, because you never really know who's who, but let's just say for the understanding purposes, speaking for himself, says this. I really hate the myth that black women are hard to deal with. I know 20 black women who will pull up on me right now with a smile if I need it. Now, in the past, I spoke about the aspect of a woman smiling, of anybody smiling, and how smiling actually triggers a thing in your mind, in your brain that is called serotonin, which actually makes you happy, which there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with smiling. But let's see how the alpha male is not presented in this kind of meme. Now, let's go on. It says in part, I know 20 black women who will pull up on me right now with a smile if I need it. And then goes on to say, feed me, give me a ride, fight for me, pray for me. Let's stop right there. Let's understand the character of a manly man. He does not want a woman to be the one that handles his business. That's one thing. Sometimes in camps, you have it to where men break off from Israelite camps because the leader of a place wants to do everything and not divvy it up among men. When I was a child, I would say, well, what was wrong if the teacher, the person, wants to do everything? And I was told from a particular grown married woman who have 2 children older than myself. She told me, when you get older, you'll understand. And as I got older, I understood. No grown man who has any kind of a mind of an alpha male is going to want to just sit down and have the woman do everything. To be the one that rolls up for him, that gives him a ride, that feeds him, that fights for him, that prays for him. Now, let me state, brothers and sisters, there is nothing wrong if a woman were to feed a man or give a man a ride, or if she has to fight for him. And there certainly is nothing wrong with a woman praying for a man or her man. But let's see where the kowtow spirit comes into play as we go along. Half of the black men perpetrating the lie. Now, the lie that the person is speaking of is the idea of saying that black women are hard to get along with or hard to deal with. Half the black men perpetrating the lie have used and abused the dog shit out of our women. So, what the F are y'all even talking about? Now, real talk. If this had been me presenting something about the games women play on men, the first thing that would be said is, it ain't all women. Real talk. But the game that's being played by this particular aspect in the spirit of this meme is to bash the black man. It is not offering a solution to the problem of the relationships between black males and females. Maybe I missed that part of the meme. Maybe I missed that part of the discussion. Because when I saw this online, brothers and sisters, and was presenting my case, what I stated was, what we need to do is communicate better one with another. And the litmus to know whether one is even worthy of communication is to call a black woman a sister. If that bothers her, bye-bye. That's not even worth the time. But this kind of meme and presenting is knowing that black women generally have been hurt, offended, disrespected, humiliated, abandoned, and so forth. So here comes the person with the spirit of this meme. I know, sister, black woman, these niggas have hurt you. They have disrespected you. They have abandoned you. And I have come to tell these niggas to put them in their place. Now, what I want y'all 20 women to do for me is feed me, give me a ride, fight for me, and pray for me. See, we have to know how to be able to dissect something, and why do I go and state what I state concerning that particular subject? Because if you need a ride, which I just coming from North Carolina, needed a ride, do you offer the gas money to replace? See, a man is supposed to add to a woman, not take from her. Let's state that again. The alpha male mind, a man adds to a woman. So now the mindset of an alpha male mindset, if she has to give him or offers or he asks for a ride, the thing that he does is say, let me pay for the gas. So that way she won't be missing anything that she needs for her home, her children, her parents. But the mind of a man in this kind of meme is saying, I'm going to take from you because you're going to feed me. I won't be there to take you out. You're going to give me a ride. I'm not offering to pay for the gas. You're going to fight for me because, damn it, I'm not going to be able to fight for you because I'm going to need you to pray for me. So now that spirit goes on to continue to say, half the black men perpetrating the lie have used and abused the dog shit out of our women. So what the F are y'all even talking about? So let me ask the question. Who, brothers and sisters, if we will, right? And I want to highlight what I'm talking about. Who is the y'all? Let's talk about this y'all in this particular aspect. It is the black man that was told to be quiet if he want to sit there and be able to sleep in her house. It's the black man that was made to be silent so that way he won't have to sit there and quote, hear her mouth. So after a generation of what one of my teachers has spoken about when he used to hear as a child, when a man and women will argue, man's wrong. And he would sit there and say, man's right. And she would say, man's wrong, nigga, I'm right. And he would sit there and kowtow to her. So the generation that done came after that, I remember being in the 3rd grade, brothers, sisters. And the young brother was saying that, and I quote literally, that the dog has more rule in his house than his own father because his mother is the alpha woman. I remember hearing that on the cheese bus in 1988 in the third grade. Brothers and sisters, let's continue. How dare you turn around and forget her patience with your ass antics? So I'm going to have to ask, what antics is this person or whoever the spirit is talking about in this particular subject? Because we want to emphasize upon this kind of matter a particular thing. If you know 20 black women, do you, as a man, able to say you can provide, take care, want to help, want to provide, want to be their ears, or do you just want these women right now? Capitalize. I said right now. Feed me, give me a ride, fight for me, and pray for me. Where is the marriage? Where is the commitment? It ain't there in this bullshit. That's what we want to talk about. Pardon for me being a little emotional and going against what I said about the language. Where is the aspect of a future? Women who have any understanding. Look, brothers and sisters, for a sense of security in a man. This meme right here does not promote the concept and the understanding of a sense of security. He wants her to do those things for him that he should do for her. You understand? He wants to sit there and show, quote, the black man is essentially talking garbage because she was rooting for you. So when I looked in the comments of this, and brothers were responding, certain things I'd rather not really get up into, such as some of the other memes that they presented. But in a nutshell, what some of the brothers were saying is that it is a henpecked mentality. It is a mentality that says, if this woman doesn't even want to do this, I still got 20. He's not going to promise marriage. If they go on a date, remember, she is, quote, riding for him and fighting for him. So he'll invite her on a date and expect her to pay. Check that out. So you got to know how to dissect the spirit of a man that's playing games, sister. Don't sit there and take the aspect of knowing, as it says in the Bible, in Jeremiah chapter 8. They have healed the hurt of the daughter of my people, saying, peace, peace, where there is no peace. Nowhere in this meme with the aspect of saying about the black man and his ashy ass antics. There is no proposed solution for the black man, to get his shit together. Where is the solution to that problem that we have? There is no solution. There's no growth. There's no marriage. There's no commitment. Because you can't, as a man, real talk, not disrespecting the aspect of polygyny, there's no way in the world that a man is going to be able to be faithful, loyal, respectful, and be able to be the two ears to 20 women. See, sisters, the sisters who were applauding this kind of thing, that comes from a man that only wants your vagina. He doesn't want your heart. He doesn't need to sit there and even carnally make love to you. Everything from the back, I don't need to see you. You understand? So, brothers and sisters, when we're dealing with this kind of aspect and this kind of spirit, know that boys and men promise girls and women things because maybe some of those promises are lies. Maybe some of the promises can be actual and real. But what we want to point out is that the game that is played on many sisters today, knowing that many women have been hurt, disrespected, abandoned, and forsaken by the black man. It says in Isaiah chapter 1 that the daughter of Zion is left as a besieged city. So when the so-called black women, the true daughters of Zion, being left as a besieged city, these are the kinds of memes with these men who cannot care to promise you anything. Women can tell you, generally speaking, who are not virgins, that they may have been lied about, girl, I can do this, I can do that. And like, you can't. Once it came down to marriage, there were couples, certainly on the female part, that found out like you really didn't have all that you said you had. You said you had another trusted account and a bigger savings account. He probably may have lied. What does it tell you in Psalms? I said in my haste, all men are liars. This is why we have to work on our character as men. But this kind of meme here doesn't promote the working on your character. In the movie Zulu, I forgot some of the actors' names or so in there. They had the men that was standing there and the women that were dancing and they picked their brides. They were having wedding ceremonies in the movie Zulu, right? We have to ask this question here. And it's not to be redundant, but to be emphatic. What is the solution to the relationship crisis, the relationship epidemic between the said black man and the black woman? Now, there are sisters who do root for brothers. There are sisters who help me once it comes down to doing PowerPoint presentations, who help me sit there and go over the books that I write. You understand? There are women out there, and I want to sit there and talk about one, for instance. When my mother, may she rest in peace, passed away, this lady told me and my sister to basically fall back, deal with your mourning, be strong, and we'll handle all of everything else. When I was in a congregation down south in North Carolina, I looked at the curtains that was inside of the camp there. And I said, a woman made those curtains. And to come to find out, I said, it was a woman who made those curtains. It was like, yeah. The Bible in the book of Numbers, pardon me, in Exodus, it talks about the wise-hearted women who spun and weave things together. We consistently talk about, at least on the Hebrew channel, about the letter Hey. Brothers and sisters, we want to sit there and show that, if we will. The letter Hey and the letter Tau, which in Hebrew are feminine letters. You're not getting, brothers and sisters, the aspect in the He-Fil stem, which is the causative of the 7 stems, without the Hey letter. You need the feminine principle in order for things to come into effect. I spoke on another aspect, brothers and sisters, about the Hebrew word, which is a common use name for black females, aka Tamika. Tamika is a Hebrew word meaning support. So we are not in a Hebrew culture, brothers and sisters, trying to bash women. We are not, brothers and sisters, misogynistic. That is to say, from the Greek word, the hatred of women. We are for the promotion of the nation of Israel, which includes males and females. But this right here, this meme is straight ashpa. Who, brothers and sisters, knows what the word ashpa means? Can anybody sit there and state in the comment section here, what does ashpa mean in Hebrew? The word ashpa, brothers and sisters, Does anyone want to take a shot at it inside the chat? The word ashpa means garbage. Toda. I already knew you knew. I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait until see it till it comes through. But all right. The word ashpa means garbage, brothers and sisters. That's what this meme is right here. See, this is game because see that kind of man, if he doesn't get all the women that he wants, he's stating he already know he got 20. So let's read this again and expound upon it and close out. I really hate the myth that black women are hard to deal with. Is it a myth? No, brothers and sisters, it is not a myth. There are black women who are hard to deal with. There are mothers who know that their daughters are hard to deal with. There are daughters who know that their mothers are hard to deal with. There are blood brothers who know that their blood sisters may be hard to deal with. So it is not a myth, brothers and sisters. The Bible speaks of saying, it is better to dwell on a rooftop than in a house with a contentious women. So there are women who are hard to deal with. Not all women are like that. The Apocrypha says the wicked woman is the portion of a wicked man. So we may want to sit there as men and find out where we attract certain things again and again and again. What Ruach spirit, what Nishma spirit or thought or wind, what Makashaba or thought, what Gisha or attitude are we portraying out there? What or light are we presenting out there for it to be attracted with us? Brothers and sisters, once it comes down, if we will, into this particular aspect, this energy right here is not going to want to sit there and show you a marriage, a commitment, love, trust, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. Not saying he's going to step up and be the father. If you got kids, girl, if you a mother, I'm going to be the best stepfather. The Bible says, be a father to the fatherless. What happened to all of that? See, this is why some hate the scriptures. And when I say scriptures, I'm mainly and only talking about the Old Testament because it works on your character. It tells you what the fool is. It tells you, as we went over and spoke about Proverbs chapter 6, about the wicked man that scrapes with his feet and points with his fingers. You know why Proverbs 6 says he scrapes with his feet as we went over? Because a lion picks his paws and goes step to step. But a person who moves, not trying to be the alpha male, would scrape their feet like they an old person or a child with slippers on. They're not going to want to pick their feet up out of the muck and mire because he expects her to do those things. And if one doesn't do it, this person state he knows 20. So he's not committed to you, sister. Don't believe the game that this kind of meme is presenting. You don't have his heart. You understand? You're one of many in his life. You are the side chick when you're dealing with that kind of aspect. You're not unique in his life. He's not going to tell you like it says in Proverbs 31, many daughters have done well, but thou excellest them. He's not going to tell her that. He's going to say, right now, you feed me. That's what that's going to say to you. Not, as they do in the Yoruba culture in Africa, and what some Israelites say we should do when a woman is on her 7-day unclean cycle, that she should be made to not do anything and the husband does the cooking. When I was in North Carolina during the time of Passover, I was impressed when I saw the men serving the woman food. That is a contrary to this kind of meme right here. I was impressed when a woman was reading the Hebrew. I was impressed when a woman was going up teaching. That made an impression on a person, and I've been in this understanding of Israel all my life since the age of 2. I'm now 39. So we know as Israel that there are certain things that we must and have to work on. And this kind of ashpa, which means garbage, needs to sit there and not be among the daughters of Israel. Among, as those in the room may know, my first Israelite teacher that said the mothers of an everlasting nation. I remember the same teacher in the camp in the Bronx that said that the Israelite women, because he despised the word black, I understand that's a byword, that our women were the mothers of an everlasting nation. He said when he was a child in the 1930s that it would hurt a man to sit there and see a woman cry. But now, she don't even have time to cry with this kind of meme. She doesn't have time, brothers and sisters. As the meme points out before, when a woman is holding her blouse to her breast and pointing, talking about the slave master raped me last night, where were you? And he knows that he has to step up. You saw that meme in the past, and we're going to do this presentation again with more PowerPoints for edification purposes. Because this is the games that men play on women. There's going to be a part 2 and a part 3, creator willing, starring this ashpa that we see right here. So the person that says that he knows 20 women, 20 black women, not sisters, just black women. There's a difference, and I'm explaining that in a second. I know 20 black women that will pull up on me right now with a smile if I need it. And I know 20 sisters that would do the same thing. And I know about the black women that sit there in corporate America and make sure she don't talk to the nigga at the desk. I know her too. I know the black women that sits in corporate America working with the white man and almost bumped into the wall just so she won't have to sit there and glare or stare or be in any eye contact with the spook who sat by the door. I also know those in marketing, when they have the teams together, that she makes sure that nigga does not talk to her. I know those black women too. And then I know sisters that at a function, she's going to make sure she smiles at her brother and tries to sit there and greet. I know both sides. I know sisters and I know black women. And this is what I mean by the distinction between the two. Because a black woman who's not in the mind of a sister cannot understand why she's being called sister no more than the henpecked, vagina seeking with no commitment, promised man will never understand about the aspect of being an alpha male. Because the alpha male is going to want to come home to her every night. He's going to want to sit there and make sure that he holds her every night that he can. He's going to sit there as an Israelite and say, we will keep Shabbat, but when Shabbat is over, we are going to go out. He's going to sit there, and as it says in Deuteronomy 24, verse 5, you shall cheer your wife up that he has taken. Yah, the Most High, commanded us as men to make our women happy. Not that they can't fight for you. Not that she won't be the one in part cooking. Not that she won't have to take the steering wheel sometimes. But you cannot present as if each and every single quote unquote black women, female of a melanated order, is of a good, righteous, pious standard. No, she ain't. Because all you got to do is ask women why they don't get along with other women. And then you can sit there and we can bridge the gap according to communication purposes. But this doesn't allow her to even, if you look very carefully, to what? I'm going to write it in here first. This is something the person forgot perhaps to write because the alpha male would have known this. The man that just want that vagina with no commitment, he's not going to think about what we're about to get into right now. Speak her mind. He doesn't want to hear what she got to say. The only time she is said to sit there and talk is when she's praying for him. They don't pray together. This is why, brothers and sisters, I went in the beginning of this and said what? And explained the mindset of a man who does not want to be the alpha male and expect the woman to do everything for him, not with him. He will expect her to do everything for him, fight for him, feed him, give him a rod, smile, and fight. What does he do? What role does he play? What is his responsibility? Where is the solution for us as men to stop, as the meme here says, our ashy ass antics? When is that going to be presented? One main thing, and I point this out even like the fire department, right? They would tell you, heaven forbid, in the event of a fire, you better off losing water than losing communication. I want to emphasize that again. In the fire department, they will tell you it is better that you lose water that can put the fire out than to lose communication. Because if you got water and you can't radio and communicate, you don't know where the next fire part might be. You don't know what room to not go into. But if you lack water and you have communication, you can say, hey, I need water. Men look for a sense of warmth in women. When I say men, I'm talking about the alpha male. That's what I'm talking about when I say the aspect of looking for warmth. It says Isaac was comforted for his mother when he was with Rebekah. I'm not saying that Isaac and Rebekah in the Bible never had any issues between themselves. But if you notice in the scriptures, Abraham and Sarah argued, Rachel and Leah argued, and Jacob and Rachel argued. I haven't read anywhere where Isaac and Rebekah argued. You know why? Because she was his shalom, his peace. And when a woman in your life is your peace, you might slip up and say things that you probably didn't even expect to say, like sweetheart, or the other colloquial term, baby. Those are terms of endearment when you feel comfortable with a person. That's not what's going to be presented in this kind of meme. Half the black men perpetrating the lie have used and abused the dog shit out of our women. So what the F are y'all even talking about? How dare you turn around and forget her patience? What? What do you mean her patience? Because we want to talk about the two sides of the females, the sisters and the black women. You remember the song by Gerald the Damager? Not for the queens, but what the we ain't going to say the B word. But they exist too. You don't think so? There was a fire that happened and children died. And this woman, who happened to be of color, was up there talking about her welfare stamps, and she was looking for aspect of that. She could care less what happened with the kids. You understand? It is illegal to sit there and as a barber to cut a baby's head when they are under 3 or 4 years old. But you have this mother with a son while he's crying, and she's trying to shave the little bit of hair that the baby has on his head. Both her and the barber are fools. So we don't want to present a mythological black people where everything is just right. And y'all niggas who don't want to sit there and succumb to the whims of these women, you are wrong. Because a woman that is of a supportive and respectful understanding doesn't want to sit there and have the world on her shoulders. Let us get raw and right down into it. Most black males, many black males, myself included, was raised in single parent households. I remember having to be the one to go and get my mother things when she came to the time of her cycle. I remember being the one who had to sit there and give my mother a massage because there was no man in the house to do it. So I'm there 8, 9 years old, hitting on her back to the left, to the right side. I remember brothers and sisters having to sit there and be the one to sit there and be, even though it's responsible, to take out the garbage because there was no man in the house. You understand? So when we sit back and look at the generation after the 1980s, after the situation what they call Claudine, you know that movie Claudine with the woman in there and James L. Jones is in there. That movie Claudine that came out in the 1970s, and she got some bad kids, so to speak. The generation that came after that and the generation that came after the 1980s is why men who are into playing games on women know they could present, excuse me, this bullshit right here. And they know that sisters who were predominantly raised with no fathers is going to just say, oh my gosh, this man has spoken to my heart. I like you. You spoke peace to me. I understand what you're saying. Because most women who were not raised around their fathers, who may have, and it's sad to have to say, but it's an unfortunate reality, may have been raped by a family member, may have been abandoned by her father, may have been disrespected by her brother. This meme right here knows, brothers and sisters, how to talk to the hurt, as it says in Jeremiah 8, to the hurt of the daughters of Zion. So while the black man is not in this, given an antidote, a remedy to the ashy ass antics that he has, and while the black woman is not given a kind of solution, a kind of remedy, a kind of bittersweet matter, if you might say, she's fed this kind of stuff here, this ashpa here. She is fed movies where Taye Diggs and other black men are praising black women, but in reality, Taye Diggs and the rest of that staff in the movie had white lies. It was just a movie. It wasn't real. We have been fed Wakanda, brothers and sisters, where we are sit there and told, yay! But yet, brothers and sisters don't want to sit there and put that work in. I remember one of my teachers out of Hashaba Yisrael, and he sat there and said, we are one, not an ancient Israel, and two, how long will we have to rely on the women to uphold the nation? Of course, the mother is the first teacher, but she should not be the only guide. You understand? So, brothers and sisters, we want to end this particular aspect here. That yes, there are men that have hurt women. There are men that are hurt. A proposed solution is to have they who are hurt to talk one with another. That's a proposed solution. There is an inner anger that sisters have. There is an inner anger that brothers have. Each of them having it toward the opposite gender of each other. So don't tell me about no Kemetic writing. Don't tell me about no Metuneta. Don't tell me, brothers and sisters, about Dodera's temple when Deuteronomy 28 says, his eye shall be evil toward her, and her eye shall be evil toward him. Because in the scriptures, it offers a solution. If you bethink yourself and return unto the Creator, then all of the things, such as in Claudine, will be removed from you. But as long as the black man tries to run game on the black woman by not even offering a sense of security, responsibility, identity, and leadership, he's going to want her to feed him, give him a ride, fight for him, and pray for him. He does not want to, as we emphasized earlier, speak her mind. You can't speak your mind when you're too busy praying. You can't speak your mind when you're too busy fighting. And if you're given a ride, you certainly can't speak your mind because you might get too emotional with what's on your mind and be steered off the road. You can't speak your mind when you're feeding him. Where is the time, the me time between a man and a woman that would be presented in this? It does not exist. See, this kind of thing has hinted on the hurt sisters, the bitter sisters. Because this person here, whoever he, or for all we know, she, is saying is that none of those 20 black women, we want to highlight that part too, because we want to emphasize that and then close out, all right? Highlighter. These 20 black women this person's talking about will never be married. These 20 black women will never know the understanding of fill the belly your son or your daughter is trying to kick. These 20 black women will never have the concept and the understanding to where even in the female world, she can walk and say, I got him. I overheard my biological, in my mind, oh, you're talking about your family. I overheard my biological youngest sister sat there and said when she goes out with the brother that she's involved with, that they're going to be engaged and all of that, she feels like she's the queen. I'm walking with him. Or y'all, and she said the B word, but I ain't gonna say it. Or y'all females want my man. And when I heard my 30-something-year-old sister say, I was like, that's how women think? Sometimes I'm like, wow. But my point in emphasizing that is these 20 women ain't gonna have that. Because can't no man sit there and mentally, financially, economically, socially satisfy 20 women. That's not happening. So that's why that meme here doesn't promote marriage. So, brothers and sisters, these 20 black women will not be able to sit there and say, wait till your father come home. These 20 black women will not be able to sit there and say, we're going to grow old together. So, brothers and sisters, in concluding this particular aspect with the time allotted, I wanted to end off by like 10:30. I want to emphasize, I know all women don't walk around and say that with her man, she feels special and can't nobody get her man but her. I'm talking about the person I know. And I would say this as a man, my sister that's in the chat, as a man, you want your lady to feel happy with you. Just like a woman doesn't want to be put on the same pedestal as every other woman in his life, he doesn't want to be on the pedestal of every other man in her life. But when you're not the alpha male mindset, and you just one of the 20 that can smile, pray, fight, and so forth, that's just right there where your category is. Your category is to pray for me, feed me, give me a ride. Because the only thing a nigga could come with is some ashy ass antics. Because I, the un-alpha male, is not trying to sit back and get a second job because the baby is going to be born. I, the un-alpha male, is not going to try to sit back and sit there and think, let me get stocks so that way something can be impressed for the baby later on. Because I'm going to tell you something, my sisters. If a man don't love you, when he impregnates you, he ain't going to love you after the baby born. And I want to emphasize that, sisters, real talk. No game. If a man does not love you when he impregnates you, he is not going to love you after that baby is born. There are women who are out there saying, and this is a fact, well, if I have a baby, then he'll stay. You know who thought that in the Bible? Leah. Well, if I give, now I'm giving birth to Lewi, now he'll be joined to me. No, Leah. Jacob, Jacob loved Rachel, Rachel. Having a baby for the man is not going to sit there and make him stay. It's not. He might be in the house, but his mind is elsewhere. He's on the other women. And who else is feeding him when you're not? So with that, I say shalom. Have a good night.